So Elden Ring comes out in about 1 month at the time of recording this, and that got me thinking. I've never actually gone through any of the mainline Dark Souls trilogy. I've gone through Bloodborne, I've gone through Demon's Souls, but I've never actually played through any of the normal Dark Souls games. So naturally, Calvin and I booted it up, spent 53 hours going through it, and now I have some thoughts. First of all, it is a great game. Once I got into the swing of things and started understanding the way that the game works, I really started enjoying myself. I think that's both the blessing and the curse of the Dark Souls games. It's very obscure. Going through it now, there are many uses of walkthroughs and Google searches to get through the game and figure out what it actually wanted us to do. For instance, co-op. That's how Calvin and I went through the entire game, and it's why we started in the first place, because we heard the co-op was so good. For those of you who don't know, in order to do co-op, you need to first beat the first two bosses of the game, second talk to this NPC hiding under these stairs, not once, not twice, but 3 times before he will even mention how to summon people and give you the stone that you need. Third, you need to become human by consuming humanity. Don't have enough humanity? Kill bosses or farm rats for half an hour. Fourth and finally, then your friend can place their summoning stone and then be summoned to your world. Oh, and make sure to add a network password so you'll actually be with your friend. Now, once you actually do all of that, it works really well. Calvin and I had an absolute blast going through together, and we never really had any network issues to speak of. But having it be this whole can of worms just for co-op perfectly encapsulates how this game operates in my mind. It doesn't tell you any of this, by the way. You just need to know that this is how the game works. Going back to what I had mentioned previously, I had played Bloodborne before playing this game. Calvin, on the other hand, had not. So many things that I had become accustomed to, he definitely had not been. For instance, every now and then the camera will just decide it's done with the whole not being in the wall thing. For me, that's not a huge deal at this point. It can definitely be frustrating, but if you know how to deal with it by either rolling around, stop locking onto the enemy, something like that, normally it works out. But for Calvin, that caused some real frustration, because you really don't want an already difficult game working against you when you're trying to fight a boss or even just a normal enemy. Another thing, when going through one area in the sewers, Calvin got cursed, meaning half of his health was immediately gone. This caused us to grind to a halt for a solid half hour to find where we could go to remove the curse, which on one hand is just the game being hard, and that's sort of its thing, but on the other hand, it really took us out of the experience. Instead of trying to go through an area, we were googling how to remove a curse. We also had a moment where after beating a boss, we got a key and had no idea where the key went. Turns out we needed to backtrack earlier in the game to this bridge, and that's where the key was supposed to go. How are we supposed to know that? We just were. Or maybe we could read the item description. He was also not a big fan of the classic Dark Souls strategy of placing an enemy right around the corner just so they can sneak up on you and attack you, maybe when you're picking up an item, forcing you to play a lot more cautiously when turning a corner. I could really go either way on this one, to be honest. Yes, it's cheap, but it's in every Souls game, so it's sort of part of its thing. Now, all of this, except for maybe the camera, are things that another fan of Dark Souls might very well say are all good things. My cousin, for instance, says he likes the obscurity, and without it the game just wouldn't be the same. It's sort of like a huge puzzle where you're given no instructions, so your mileage may vary. These are just our thoughts. That's enough complaining though. What did we both really like about this game? Well, let's just go through the list, shall we? The world that this game is set in is super diverse and beautiful. I'd love to see what this game would look like with a true remake like they did for Demon's Souls. As it stands right now, it is pretty nice and it's very playable on PC, not like the original, but it definitely could look better. The characters all have unique and tragically dark stories to experience if you go down their quest line. Personally, I like the Onion Knight and his daughter, who I won't spoil their quest line, but it is one of my favorites. There are so many different ways to play this as well. You can be a chunky knight, a nimble thief, a wizard, or for me, a nimble two-handed sword wielder who refuses to fat roll in specs and strength. And even now, having just spent a solid week playing this game pretty much non-stop, there's still areas that I haven't seen and have no idea how you get there. Like, I keep seeing these humanity enemies. I have no idea where they are. Maybe they're in the tree in Blight Town? No idea. We haven't mentioned the bosses yet. Almost every boss in this game is enjoyable to fight and provides a decent amount of challenge, especially if you don't know what to expect. There are definitely some exceptions to that, with a few bosses being gimmicky and bad, but most are great. Oh, it also has one of the coolest DLC areas that I've seen, taking place in a Mario 64 style painting in the winter. I really like this game, and I'm super glad that Calvin and I went through it. There are certainly some parts that I don't think make the game any more fun and more just add to frustration and tedium, but no game is perfect. If you have 50 hours or about 2 days without sleeping to kill and a friend to play it with, this is an amazing co-op game, and I would strongly recommend you try it. Calvin and I have already started on Dark Souls 2, so if you want a video on that, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching and God bless.